A parish council is a civil local authority found in England and is the lowest, or first tier of local government. They are elected corporate bodies, have variable tax-raising powers, and are responsible for areas known as civil parishes, serving in total 16 million people. A parish council serving a town may be called a town council, and a parish council serving a city is styled a city council. These bodies have the same powers, duties and status as a parish council. Parish and town councils vary enormously in size, activities and circumstances, representing populations ranging from less than 100 to up to 70,000. Most of them are small. Around 80% represent populations of less than 2,500. Civil parish councils should not be confused with parochial church councils which administer parishes of the Church of England. Civil parish councils, which can be called community councils, should not be confused with rural community councils which engage in rural development work. Overview. There are 9,000 local councils in England. Over 16 million people live in communities served by local councils, which is around 25% of the population, and about 80,000 councillors serve on these councils. It is calculated £1 billion is invested in these communities every year. Local councils work to improve community well-being and provide better services at a local level. Their activities fall into three main categories: representing the local community, delivering services to meet local needs, and improving quality of life and community well-being. Local councils can provide and maintain a variety of important and visible local services including allotments, bridleways, burial grounds, bus shelters, car parks, commons and open spaces, community transport schemes, community safety and crime reduction measures, events and festivals, footpaths, leisure and sports facilities, litter bins, public toilets, planning, street cleaning and lighting, tourism activities, traffic calming measures, village greens and youth projects. These existing powers were recently strengthened by powers contained in the Localism Act, including the extension of the general power of competence to eligible local councils. Not every civil parish has a parish council. Smaller ones, typically those with an electorate of fewer than 200, have parish meetings instead. A parish with a small number of electors may share a council with one or more neighbouring parishes. Such an arrangement is known as a grouped parish council, or sometimes as a joint parish council, common parish council, or combined parish council. Parish councils are funded by levying a precept collected with the council tax paid by the residents of the parish. Parish councils have unpaid councillors who are elected to serve for 4 years, unless a casual vacancy arises which may be filled by a by-election or by co-option. The powers and duties of parish councils are described below. Powers and duties. Parish councils have the power to precept the residents to support their operations and to carry out local projects. Although there is no limit to the amount that can be precepted, the money can only be raised for a limited number of purposes, defined in the 1894 Act and subsequent legislation. The general power of competence is a new power awarded in 2012 to eligible councils, and is described later in this article. The exercise of powers is at the discretion of the council, but they are legally obliged to exercise duties. Duty to provide facilities, allotments. Duty to consider providing allotment gardens if demand unsatisfied. Powers to provide facilities. Parish councils have powers to provide some facilities themselves, or they can contribute towards the provision by others. There are large variations in the services provided by parishes, but they can include the following. They may also provide the following, subject to the consent of the county council, a unitary authority of the area in which they lie. Representative powers. Parish councils must be notified by the district or county council of miscellaneous powers. In some cases, parish councils exercise the following powers. Meetings. The central function of the council, the making of local decisions and policy relevant to the public interest of the parish, is performed at the meetings of the council. A parish council must hold an annual meeting and at least 3 other meetings in a year. However, monthly meetings are the most common, and some larger councils have fortnightly meetings. An extraordinary meeting may be called at any time by the chairman or members, but due notice must be given. A council can form committees with delegated powers for specific purposes, however these must adhere to the protocols for public attendance, minute-taking and notice of meetings that apply to the main council. A committee may form subcommittees. A council can also appoint advisory groups which are exempt from these constraints to give flexibility, but these have no delegated powers and cannot make financial decisions. Such groups may contain members who are not councillors. A parish council consists of the chairman and not fewer than 5 elected parish councillors, and a quorum of the main council committee is at least 1/3 of the members, or 3 members, whichever is the greater. Every meeting is open to the public, who are encouraged to attend, except for those items where the council formally resolves to exclude the public and press on the grounds that publicity would be prejudicial to the public interest. This would have to be due to the confidential nature of the business. This latter also applies to any subcommittee of the parish council. Notice of meetings must be given at least 3 clear days before and be displayed in a noticeable place in the parish, giving time, date and venue. A summons to attend the meeting is also issued, specifying the agenda to every member of the council. Items not on the agenda cannot be formally debated or resolved. Items brought up by the attendance of the general public or in correspondence can be discussed, but formal resolutions on these must be deferred to the next meeting so that due notice can be given. The minutes of the meeting are taken by the clerk and are ratified at the next meeting of the council. They must also be displayed in a noticeable place in the parish, and for many councils, they are now also displayed on the internet. Procedures for the conduct of meetings are set out in Schedule 12 of the Local Government Act 1972, and where this is not overridden by legislation, by the standing orders of the council. Most adopt the National Association of Local Councils Model Standing Orders. Councillors are expected to adhere to the Nolan Principles of Conduct in Public Life. Administration. The administration of the council is managed by the parish clerk, who is a paid employee acting in a combined statutory role as secretary and treasurer of the council. They may be full-time or part-time, depending on the amount of council business, and large parish councils may require more than one official for these tasks, in which case they are a group led by the clerk. The necessarily financial monitoring and reporting are the clerk's responsibility, and in this role the clerk is known as the responsible financial officer of the council. The clerk is also the proper officer of the council. They enact the decisions of the council, and they receive official correspondence and issue correspondence on the instructions of the council. The clerk also prepares agendas for meetings of the council and its committees, gives notice of these to the council members and the public, and records and publishes the minutes of these meetings. They are the formal point of contact with the public, and are a source of information for the public about the council's activities. The clerk also provides procedural guidance for the council itself, and ensures that statutory and other provisions governing or affecting the running of the council are observed. Clerks are encouraged to have a formal qualification, such as the certificate in local council administration. The clerk may not be a member of the council. Elections and membership. The term of office of a parish councillor is 4 years, and council seats are elected en bloc through multiple non-transferable vote, by secret ballot. The legislation provides that the number of elected members of a parish council shall not be less than 5. Larger parishes may be divided into parish wards with separate elections for each ward. The timing of the election cycle is usually linked to that of the election of a district councillor for the ward containing the parish. A candidate must be at least one of the following: a UK or Commonwealth citizen, citizen of the Republic of Ireland, citizen of another member state of the European Union, and candidates must state on their consent for nomination form the qualification for election, which must be at least one of the following. They are an elector of the parish. During the whole of the last 12 months they have occupied, either as owner or tenant, land or other premises in the parish. The principal or only place of work is in the parish. They live within 4.8 kilometers of the parish boundary. The chairman of the last council shall remain in office, even if not elected to the newly constituted council, until a new chairman is appointed at the first meeting of the new council. Uncontested elections. Where there are an equal number of fewer candidates than there are vacancies, all candidates are elected unopposed, and no poll is taken. Where there are fewer candidates than vacant seats, the parish council has the power to co-opt any person or persons to fill the vacancies. This power, however, may only be exercised if there is a quorum of councillors present and within 35 days of the election. If the parish council fails to fill the vacancies within this period, the district council may dissolve it and order fresh elections. If there is not a quorum elected, the district council must dissolve it and order fresh elections. Contested elections. Where there are more candidates than vacancies, a poll must be held. Undivided parishes, or multi-member parish wards, hold elections under the block vote system. Casual vacancies. If a vacancy occurs during the term of a parish council, it may be filled by either election or co-option. Elections only occur if, following the advertisement of the vacancy for 14 days, 10 electors send a written request to the returning officer. If no request is received, the parish council will be required to fill the vacancies by co-option. The nomination qualifications required of a candidate for co-option are the same as for those for election. If the number of vacancies on the parish council is such that there is no longer a quorum, the district council may temporarily appoint persons to bring the council up to strength in the interval prior to an election. History. Civil parish councils were formed in England under the Reforming Local Government Act 1894 to take over local oversight of civic duties in rural towns and villages. The Act created two new types of local authority: parish councils and district councils, to rationalize the large number of bodies which existed for a variety of activities such as public health, secular burials, water supply and drainage. It also finally removed secular duties from the local vestry committees and gave them to the new parish councils. An idea of the scope of this huge reorganization can be gained from the words of H. Fowler, president of the Local Government Board, who said in the parliamentary debate for the 1894 Act, 62 counties, 302 municipal boroughs, 31 Improvement Act districts, 688 local government districts, 574 rural sanitary districts, 58 port sanitary districts, 2,302 school board districts, 1,052 burial board districts, 648 poor law unions, 13,600 775 ecclesiastical parishes, and nearly 15,000 civil parishes. The total number of authorities which tax the English ratepayers is between 28,000 and 29,000. Not only are we exposed to this multiplicity of authority and this confusion of rating power, but the qualification, tenure, and mode of election of members of these authorities differ in different cases. The government chose the civil parish as the basic unit of local government in rural areas. Each parish council's area of responsibility was a geographical area known as a civil parish. The civil parishes were also grouped to form rural districts, which became the geographical areas of rural district councils. Civil geographical parishes continued to exist in urban districts but did not have parish councils, whilst the bulk of the rationalized activities went to district councils. Parish councils took over a number of lesser powers, including all the secular activities of the parish vestry committee, a system of local government based on ecclesiastical parishes that originated in the feudal system. Modern development. Two principal acts of Parliament have increased the general powers of parish councils, and removed onerous constraints. The Redcliffe-Maud Report led to the Local Government Act 1972, which dramatically reorganized local government with amalgamation of district councils, large-scale changes to county boundaries and creation of metropolitan areas. However, the parish council was retained as the grassroots tier of local democracy for rural areas. In addition, many small towns which had previously formed municipal boroughs or urban districts became successor parishes within larger districts. The Act also recognized the role of parish councils in development planning in the parish, and gave them the right to be informed and consulted on applications for such development. However, the original proposal to grant a general power of competence to councils was not carried through, and the doctrine of ultra vires remained. This meant that parish councils could not do anything outside the statutory powers. It was not until the Localism Act 2011 that parish councils were freed of the constraints of ultra vires, which limited the activities of parish councils to only those things for which they had been given statutory powers, and were given a radical new power to do anything that individuals generally may do, as long as that is not limited by some other act. This is known as the general power of competence, and is available to eligible parish councils. An eligible council is one which has resolved to adopt the GPC, with at least two-thirds of its members being declared elected, rather than co-opted, and the clerk must hold an appropriate qualification. However, the precept may not be raised for purposes which rely only on the power of the GPC, and such funding must be obtained from other sources. The Localism Act also introduced new rights and powers to allow local communities to shape new development by coming together to prepare neighborhood plans. Neighborhood planning can be taken forward by two types of body: town and parish councils or neighborhood forums. Neighborhood forums are community groups that are designated to take forward neighborhood planning in areas without parishes. It is the role of the local planning authority to agree who should be the neighborhood forum for the neighborhood area. Neighborhood forums and parish councils can use new neighborhood planning powers to establish general planning policies for the development and use of land in a neighborhood. These are described legally as neighborhood development plans. In an important change to the planning system, communities can use neighborhood planning to permit the development they want to see, in full or in outline, without the need for planning applications. These are called neighborhood development orders. Alternative styles. In 1974, at the same time as the creation of successor parishes, the law was changed so that any parish council could pass a resolution to declare its area a town, with the council known as a town council. The majority of successor parishes, and a number of other small market towns now have town councils, whose powers are exactly the same as those of parish councils, although their chairmen are entitled to style themselves as town mayor. Similarly, a handful of parishes have been granted city status by letters patent. The council of such a parish is known as city council, and the chairman is entitled to be known as the city mayor. In England, there are currently 8 parishes with city status, all places with long-established Anglican cathedrals: Chichester, Ely, Hereford, Lichfield, Ripon, Salisbury, Truro and Wells. Following the enactment of the Local Government and Public Involvement in Health Act 2007, a parish council has been able to alternatively style itself as a village council, neighbourhood council, or community council. A provision of this act is that civil parishes may now be established in the London boroughs. Creation, alteration and abolition of councils. Since the enactment of the Local Government and Rating Act 1997, district and unitary councils may create a parish council for a new civil parish either through a review or in response to a petition. This has led to the creation of new parish councils at an increased rate, especially in large towns and cities which do not have a history of parish governance. Since the 13th of February 2008, the power to create new parishes and parish councils, to alter parish boundaries, to dissolve parish councils and to abolish parishes has been devolved to district, unitary and London borough councils. This process is known as a community governance review. Principal councils have the power to make a community governance review at any time for all or part of their district. It is envisaged that such reviews will occur at intervals of between 10 and 15 years, and will take into account population changes, the need for well-defined boundaries and the wishes of local inhabitants. Reviews may also be triggered by a petition of local government electors for an area. A petition is deemed valid where it is signed by a sufficient proportion of the electorate. At the end of the review process, which must be completed within 12 months, the principal council is empowered to issue a reorganization order setting out the changes. This order may create a new parish from all or part of an unparished area by the division of an existing parish or parishes, by the merger of all or parts of existing parishes, alter the boundaries of existing parishes, group or ungroup parishes, give a name to a new parish, abolish an existing parish and dissolve its parish council. In order to abolish an existing parish council, the principal council must provide evidence that this in response to justified, clear and sustained local support for the area's inhabitants. Where a new parish is formed with 1,000 electors or more, a parish council must be formed. Where there are between 151 and 999 electors, the principal council may recommend the establishment of either a parish council or parish meeting. Where there are 150 electors or fewer, a parish council may not be formed. Reviews come into effect on the 1st of April in the year following the date the reorganization order is made. Where a new parish council is created, elections to the new body will be held at the time of next council elections. In the intervening period, the principal council appoint the parish council from among their own membership.